Hurricane Katrina by Gail Tuckman. Tracking the storm. Hurricane hunter Jack Parrish has flown into 60 hurricanes. He has flown into a hurricane's eye, or center, 523 times. Jack tracks storms before they hit. He lets people know about them. On August 23, 2005, Jack was tracking a storm east of Florida. It was early in the storm's life. It was still weak. I flew low, right through the storm's eye wall. It got stronger quickly. This picture shows the storm near Florida. New word, say it out loud. Eye wall. The eye wall is the ring of thunderstorms around a storm's center. The next day, the National Hurricane Center named the storm Katrina. It warned people in southern Florida to be careful. On August 25th, Katrina made landfall near Miami, Florida. It was a Category 1 hurricane. This was its first landfall. New word, say it out loud, landfall. When a hurricane's eye crosses land, the storm has made landfall. Categories and wind speeds. Category 1 is 74 to 95 miles per hour. Category 2 is 96 to 110 miles per hour. Category 3 is 111 to 129 miles per hour. Category 4 is 130 to 156 miles per hour. And Category 5 is over 157 miles per hour. This scale tells people how strong a hurricane is. When a storm's winds reach 74 miles per hour, it's called a hurricane. Katrina grew stronger over the next 2 days. It moved into the Gulf of Mexico. It gained energy from the warm, deep water. Its winds sped up. By August 27, it was Category 3. Jack Parrish was flying all around Katrina on a high-flying jet. I needed to get information to forecast what Katrina would do next. Where was it going? How strong would it be? I soon knew there was nothing that would stop this storm from exploding. This was on August 27th in the Gulf of Mexico. The wind speeds were 115 miles per hour, and it was Category 3. Hurricane hunters always carry high-tech gadgets. This special tube is dropped into a hurricane. It measures the hurricane's strength and speed. By August 28th, Hurricane Katrina had doubled in size. Its wind swirled at 175 miles per hour, as fast as a high-speed train. This giant Category 5 hurricane is now roaring towards New Orleans, Louisiana. August 25th, Category 1. August 27th, Category 3. August 28th, Category 5. On August 28th, in the Gulf of Mexico, the wind speed was 175 miles per hour. Hurricane Katrina was heading for New Orleans. The mayor ordered everyone in the city to evacuate, but many people could not leave. Many were worried about their homes and family. Here you can see people lined up to get into the Superdome. A shelter was set up in the Superdome, the city's sports stadium. Those left behind could wait out the storm there. This was on October 28th in New Orleans. New word, say it out loud, evacuate. When you evacuate, you leave a dangerous area. It's a fact. Over 100,000 people in New Orleans did not evacuate. Katrina strikes. At 6:10 a.m. on August 29th, Katrina crashed into the Gulf Coast. Its wind speed was 125 miles per hour. It made landfall for the second time 65 miles south of New Orleans. Katrina destroyed towns and cities along the Gulf Coast. Then it moved inland. Strong winds caused the water to rise. A powerful wall of water pushed onto the shore and hit the land. This was August 29th at the Gulf Coast with wind speeds of 125 miles per hour. It's a fact. In Pass Christian, Mississippi, the water was 27 8/10 feet high. The storm surge hit New Orleans. The city was like a bowl surrounded by water. There were levees, large earth walls around it. They were meant to protect the city from flooding, but the levees broke. Water burst through. It spilled over the levees. New Orleans was flooded from both sides. This was August 30th in New Orleans. New word, say it out loud. Levee. The flooding in New Orleans was caused mainly by failed levees. There is a lake on one side of New Orleans. There is a river on the other side. New Orleans filled with water, and the water kept rising. Pumps to drain the water failed. Soon most of the city was underwater. People were still sheltering at the Superdome. Winds had ripped off part of the roof. Water leaked in. There was no power. People were hungry and thirsty. People trapped at home wrote on their rooftops, "Please help us. People, dog, cat." Other people held on to heavy objects to stay above water. The Superdome was no longer a safe shelter. To the rescue. Rescue workers searched for people. Helicopters lifted people off roofs. Boats pulled them from the water. Volunteers rushed to help neighbors. The U.S. military was sent in. Many survivors had been rescued by September 5th, a week after landfall. It's a fact. A 76-year-old man was rescued 18 days after Katrina hit. The U.S. Coast Guard rescued about 33,000 people. Many dogs and other pets had to be rescued. After the hurricane, it took about 5 weeks to drain New Orleans and nearby areas of 250 billion gallons of water. People began to return to their homes a month after Katrina had hit the city. Jerenica Richardson, then age 12, cried when she came back to her old house. It was so quiet and dark, no lights, no people, no birds, no animals. It was like a ghost town. It smelled and you didn't hear anything. People started to rebuild their lives. Dave and Judy Walker went back to work. Judy and I write for the New Orleans newspaper. Katrina is still in stories I write. After Katrina, Judy asked people to send in old family recipes. This helped other people replace recipes swept away by the flood. They could save this important part of their history. Rebuilding homes, 2005 and 2014. Looking ahead, no one will forget Hurricane Katrina. In the Gulf Coast area, 1,836 people lost their lives. Over 1 million homes were damaged, but the floodwaters could not wash away the strength and spirit of the people of New Orleans. Recovering from the hurricane has been a long and painful process, but today New Orleans is still alive and hopeful. Katrina in numbers. Here are some facts and figures about Katrina. 1 2/10 million people left the New Orleans area in the days before Katrina landed. 8 dolphins were rescued 2 weeks after being swept out of a water park. Hurricane Katrina struck 90,000 square miles of land. 504 vessels ended up on dry land. 7 4/10 million gallons of oil poured into the water. The levees protecting New Orleans failed in at least 50 places. 60,000 people could not get out of their homes. They stayed in attics or on roofs until they were rescued. 80% of New Orleans was underwater. 68 million meals and snacks were given out by Red Cross volunteers. 25,000 people took shelter at the Superdome. Hurricane Katrina caused a lot of damage. It cost $96 to $125 billion. Glossary. Pause if you need to look at any of the specific words.